This is Alan Feldman from Laguna Woods Democratic Club. Welcome to Black and Laguna Woods, and thank you for taking your time to watch the program today. We're going to be talking today about the African American Heritage Club right here in Laguna Woods. We're going to speak a little bit about its, what it is and what its mission is, what it does, and we're going to talk about the some of the events that they're sponsoring, especially the Juneteenth event, which was one of the big events that they have during the year. And to talk about the club with us today, we have Annie McCary, who is the president of the African American Heritage Club. She is also an elected member of the City of Laguna Woods City Council, and she's active with community bridge builders, and she's very active throughout the whole community. Many of you know her, I'm sure, seen her on TV before. And we also have with us Willie Phillips, who is the vice president of the African American Heritage Club. And he is also vice president of Community Bridge Builders. So we have a couple of people who are quite active in the community here. So thank you both very much for being here today and talking about the club. And I guess, Annie, I'm going to start out with you. You're the president, so you should get the first word. What is the African American Heritage Club? When did it start? What's its mission? What's its mission? What's it do? What do you try to do?
Wow, well, that's a real big question, Alan, and I've got lots of really big answers for that. So, and it's so interesting that we're talking about the African American Heritage Club because this year marks our 10th year anniversary. So the African American Heritage Club was started in 2014 by Dr. Fran Williams, and she moved into the community and she was involved in a lot of social events and different clubs, and she realized quickly that there was nothing that represented her within the community here. So she got a group of friends and colleagues together and got a petition signed and formed the African American Heritage Club. And so the club is basically a social club. We're not a political club. We're just a social club. We come together and we celebrate the African American heritage and our culture. We celebrate all of our culture. And we do that through education, through social events, just being out in the community and just being who we are and inviting others to celebrate with us. We're all inclusive in our club. Everyone is invited. We don't exclude anyone. We celebrate our heritage, not the color of our skin. So we're embracing all. So, and that's basically what the club does. And we meet on a monthly basis and we have educational programs.
So this is the club does not take political stances.
No. Go ahead, sorry.
No, I'm going to say what you're saying. It's just not just it's to talk about and demonstrate and represent African American culture here.
Absolutely, yes. And we try our very best to stay out of anything political because we may have people in our club that may belong to one political party or another. We stay out of the politics, and that way we're embracing everyone and their views.
Right. Okay. And I know that one of the biggest events that you do have for the last couple of years that I'm aware of, it's probably no longer than that, is the Juneteenth celebration. And that's coming up. People will be watching this in May. We're recording it a little bit before that, but people will be watching it in May. So before we talk about the celebration, Willie, why don't you give us a rundown on what Juneteenth is? A lot of people know the term now. The term is in the lexicon, if that's the right word, but I don't think a lot of people are familiar with what it really is about.
Well, Juneteenth is a federal holiday since June of 2021 that reminds us that in the state of Texas and really in the Union, 2.5 years after slavery was abolished, people were still enslaved. They weren't, by and large, they didn't know that they had been emancipated. And so a general went to Galveston, Texas, 2.5 years later. And as a result of him coming there, Texas announced that the slaves are indeed free 2.5 years later. So it's to celebrate the fact that we were free. When I say we, we're talking about the Black, African American, or whatever we want to call ourselves, when we were recognized as being free people. So it commemorates that day. And and we celebrate that. And in fact, the nation celebrates it now, can at large, because it's a federal holiday as a result of Oprah Lee's march on to Washington in 3 years ago.
What do you have planned for this year's
Well, on
for this year's?
June 15th of this year, we're going to have our 3rd annual celebration in Clubhouse 5, 4th annual celebration in Clubhouse 5. The doors will be open at 5, and the program will begin at 6. And we have a signed declaration that's going to be coming from the desk of Oprah Lee, who is 97 years old now, and it's going to be presented to Dorothy Mulkey, a resident of Santa Ana, that in 1967, she went to the Supreme Court to fight a Fair Housing Act in Santa Ana, and she was victorious. So we're going to recognize her as being a woman of change, which will be the theme of this 4th annual celebration. And we're going to present her with the Oprah Lee Award for recognizing her as a woman of change. We're going to have a band. We're going to have a dinner that's going to be served, and we're going to have 3 different menus. The Glenn Fox Band is going to be playing. We're going to have videos. We're going to have dancers. It's just going to be a great time, but we're going to also recognize in film and in testimony some of the women down through the years, women of color that very little is known about. And we're going to acknowledge that women did have a big part, not only in Juneteenth, but in the emancipation and the freeing and the evolving, of our race.
You mentioned the name a couple of times, Oprah Lee, which I would imagine a lot of people are not all that familiar with. Maybe they should be, but they're not, I don't believe. So, Annie, let me ask you to tell us a little bit, this year's Juneteenth celebration has a theme to it also, which Willie talked about. So maybe talk a little bit about that and just tell us about Oprah Lee. Who is Oprah Lee? Why you decided to, I guess if you give a word to somebody's name, you are honoring them too. So why did you decide to do that? Why did you decide to do that?
Well, Oprah Lee is a woman who was relentless to this day in terms of getting Juneteenth to be recognized. She never stopped the fight to get Juneteenth recognized as a federal holiday, and that was achieved 4 years ago. And so she was a career woman, like a lot of women, who did her regular job as a counselor. She did work in the social arena of life, and so she was a full-time person working with her full-time job, and yet she devoted so much of her time to making sure that Juneteenth was recognized throughout the United States of America as a significant event in our history. So we know her and we honor her, and we are saluting her, and we're allowing her legacy to continue by honoring other people, women this year, who have made a significant change in history. And Miss Dottie Mulkey is the one that we are honoring, as Willie said, as Willie mentioned. So we're really proud of what the work the Juneteenth committee is doing. We're really proud to be able to share with this community the significance of Juneteenth, and especially because it has been left out of the history books. Nothing about Juneteenth is really recorded in any of the history books where it is taught to young people growing up. And so it is part of our job, our commitment, I believe, to make sure that Juneteenth is recognized and that the plot of our people is not forgotten.
Well,
And if I might add,
oh yes, go ahead.
Oprah Lee, at the age of 89, she's just a regular mother, grandmother. She marched from Houston, Texas to Washington, D.C., 1,400 miles to garner attention and to garner a following. And she presented this to the Senate, and eventually it got to President Biden. And she's recognized as the grandmother of Juneteenth because of her gallant efforts and her stick-to-itness. And so she's the grandmother of Juneteenth, and we honor her. She's 97 years old. She's still active. She still does gardening. And we contacted her, and her granddaughter is her go-between. And so they're going to sign this recognition. They're going to sign a certificate, and they're going to take a picture of her holding it, presenting it to Dorothy Mulkey. We wanted her to come out, but she's 97, so she's not doing a lot of traveling these days. And then we're going to present this to Dorothy Mulkey, and we're very proud of that fact. And we're very proud of Dorothy because of her relentless tenacity to bring this to the point where it's now a national federal holiday.
It's talking about Opal Lee. There's a picture of the grandmother of Juneteenth. There's a picture of President Biden signing the law, and when presidents sign, they have these elaborate signings, and they use one pen for each letter, and they give the pen to people who they feel were responsible for passing the legislation. And Opal Lee got the first pen. She got the J.
Yeah, right. Yes.
She got the first pen. Very well deserved, no doubt. It is the amazing thing is that she lived a full life, as you were saying, Annie and Willie too. She lived a really full life. She was an educator for many years, and when she stopped working, she started working. She became really a full-time. I'm sure she was involved in things before that, but she became a real full-time activist. And you're right, she's still going strong. She's still got a nonprofit that was formed about, I think, 30 or so years ago, and that's still going strong too. So it sounds like you picked the right person one of the right people to honor. But the celebration itself, the celebration, Annie, you spoke about it a little bit. Either one of you can just feel, what's the kind of stuff what's gonna be there? What will people walk into when they walk into the Juneteenth celebration?
Well, first of all, I believe when they walk in, they will recognize, our purpose. The way we decorate, the way we set the building up reflects our purpose, which is to acknowledge, to educate, to celebrate our heritage. So the whole ambiance of the room will have that flavor to it, about our history, about our culture. So that's the first thing that people will experience. And then the other part of it will show our commitment to our purpose in the African American Heritage Club is to acknowledge and educate and celebrate. And so they will see the integrity, the intention of the African American Heritage Club throughout the whole event, from the beginning of the program all the way to the presenting of the awards, to the short videos. It's going to be about education. It's going to be about celebrating. We'll have a food, and we'll have dancing. And so the whole flavor will reflect the purpose of the African American Heritage Club.
Well, anybody who has been to it, I think this is the fourth one. Am I correct? This is the fourth one that you're doing?
Yeah, the first one, we had the first one the first year that President Biden signed it into law. And it was during COVID. And so we had just a little gathering of people outside of Clubhouse 5 in the little patio area there. And it was a big gathering of people. So that was our first one. And then the last couple have just been amazingly, incredibly successful and well attended.
Everybody who's been there really knows but it's a great event. It's really a lot. It seems like everybody's so much food. There's all sorts of entertainment going on. Everybody seems to be having a good time. So it's
everybody is always welcome. And you can tell if you've ever seen any of the photos or attended any of the events, it's just a melting pot of all of Laguna Woods Village, people of all ethnicities, all races, just coming together, celebrating.
Just a little sidebar, Ellen. With Sharon and I own a floor covering business, and we were having a meeting. The committee for Juneteenth was having a meeting, and Sharon said, we want to roll out the red carpet. We're going to have red carpet all the way down the breezeway. I said, do you know how much carpet costs? We're not going to do that. So we started bantering back and forth. When I came home that night, she twisted my ear and she said, boy, get some red carpet. We're going to roll out the red carpet. So when you come, the first thing you're going to see is a red carpet from the front of Clubhouse 5 all the way down to the entrance. We're going to roll out the red carpet, and we're inviting everyone to come and experience it. And it's just going to be a big family party with a recognition. I was going down the list, and there are so many Black women that that really changed history that I didn't even know about. And we're going to feature some of those stories in video, and we're going to have some features on each table about some of these people. And no doubt, there's going to be someone that's going to be recognized as a woman that changed history that you didn't know about.
You know, I gotta pick up on that because you're absolutely right. I know exactly what you're talking about. There's this video roaming around on the internet called I forget what it's called, but about 10 Black women who invented something that don't have any credit for inventing it, and it's pretty amazing. It's things like from the ironing board all the way up to some techniques in eye surgery, which are still used today. And you know, everything in between there. There was so many things were invented or developed by not only Black women but Black people, and they don't get the credit for it. Either it's ignored or they worked with the white person. The white person gets the credit for it. So I'm just wondering. We'll go back to our main topic in a minute, but I was thinking about this when I was reading about Opal Lee. So I'll ask you both. What? This might be an unanswerable question, unanswerable because there is no answer, or unanswerable because there's a million answers. But why do you think that happens? I mean, do you think that's plans? You know, I don't want to get in conspiracy theory, or do you think it's just people just picking up on the way society runs and going with it? Why do you think that so many Black, especially Black women, were not given credit for the things that they developed and invented? Anyone of you can answer that first. I'd like you both to answer, if you don't
Well,
mind.
I'll start. Well, first of all, men were the in the hierarchy of things, men were high on the hierarchy. So women were lower on the hierarchy. Women's place was to have babies and raise families and stuff, and all the recognition went to the men. In terms of African American women, it just it was so easy to ignore the women, even though there's this old saying behind every successful man is a woman, a successful woman. Well, while the men were the next in line to get recognized, the women were very low on the totem pole. Women were seen as the educators for the children, the housekeepers, the keeping of the house, the cooking of the food, that kind of stuff. And so the men were the ones who got any kind of glory and credit for anything. And so Black women have historically been in a lower role just because of being the low person on the totem pole.
What do you think about that, Willie? I think
Well, to add to what Annie just said, people of darker skin have always, when you come into the lighter skinned people, we say white. I don't like to say white because they're not really white. I don't like to say Black too much because they're not really Black. But the ones of the lighter skin persuasion, like yourself, even when they were doing writing the Constitution, they said that the darker skinned people were 3/5 of a human. And somewhere in the back, in the psyche of the system, is, you know, that's here in America, we were always, the darker skinned people always were less than. And in the society of the world, women were always less than men. Darker skinned people are always less than the lighter skinned people. So since they had all the power, then they would take all the credit, and we couldn't do anything about it. The darker skinned people couldn't do anything about it. And not just that, economically, the one that invented something received all the rewards. So if I have a slave out here working, and this slave or this so-called lesser person invents something, then I'm going to take credit for it so that I can get the money, because, you know, back in those days, you weren't supposed to have money. You weren't supposed to, a lot of things that you couldn't do. So it was a lot of it had to do with economics. And the women, they were just, like Annie said, they were at the bottom of the pecking order. But did you see the movie Hidden Figures?
yes, I did. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so there are a lot of hidden
Yes.
female figures that we're going to
Yeah.
recognize at this gathering.
Yeah. Yeah, there's excuse me, there's a lot of stories to be told. Excuse me. I have to cut this part out here for a second here.
Okay.
But Alan, just what you said, there are a lot of stories to be told. And this is one of the benefits of the African American Heritage Club, because we get to tell the stories. And we could be the voices of those people, whereas no other club is actually doing this. Well, no other club is African American Heritage. So we get to keep our heritage alive through telling our stories, through sharing our stories. And my experience is that people in Laguna Woods are really, really interested in hearing and learning about our history.
And not only that, Annie and I are both intricate parts of community bridge builders. I'm just going to use a segue right here, and the same thing is being done there, but there it recognizes all races, all ethnicities, and we're bridging the gap between the haves and the have-nots, if you will, to bring about a one family atmosphere. And we touch on the darker skin aspect of it, the Afro-Americans, the Blacks over here in the African American Heritage Club, and we partner a lot with the other to bring people into a place that and hopefully all of the clubs will start doing this, to tell their stories so that we can know about each other's history and we can know about each other's culture, and then we can highlight the things that we have in common. And we can't do that if we keep it all a secret. These hidden figures, we want to put them out in the public, and if everyone does that, then you can understand people, you can communicate with them better if you know what their history was.
That's definitely true, but you also have to be willing to listen. A lot of times people aren't willing to listen. That's a problem that you can come into. But I agree with you. And it was, you reached another good segue, Willie. That was talking about the community bridge builders, because community bridge builders isn't the only organization in Laguna Woods that the African American Heritage Clubs work with. So anyone should tell us some of the other things that the club does in concert with other clubs.
Well, up until just recently, I was on the board of the New York Club, working with the New York Club, just as a collaborative person on their committee, getting entertainment together. I've attended some of the Korean club meetings, and I'm very, very. We are both very good friends with people in the Korean community. The Indian Club, we attend a lot of their events, and so basically we're becoming a part of all of the different clubs, and we're extending invitations to each of the clubs to join us. And just if you look at our membership list now, we've got people from all the different clubs that are becoming members of our club, because they recognize that we have something in common, and we're not celebrating the color of our skin, we're celebrating our heritage, and people understand that. And that's more of an invitation for them to come and join us. And the invitation extends for us to join them as well. So we're out there communicating and supporting the Chicago Club, the New York Club. Let's see who else. Even the, what'd you say?
High Club.
The Baha'i Club. And we have people one of our board members is a member of the Baha'i Club.
Yes.
So we have, we really are intertwining with all of the different clubs.
And I want to give a shout out to California Club when we did our first big Juneteenth celebration. The California Club kind of partnered with us. I got with Tom, and when he was the president at that time, he helped us out a lot. And Gloria, different people over there they even let us use some of their equipment for decoration. And it's just become a big collaborative effort. And it's paying dividends now. And as you said before, there are a number of people that don't want to listen, but there are a number of people that do want to listen. And when they listen, they start talking. Then a conversation ensues. Then friendships are results of that. And thus here we are talking about it.
So you do usually get a good reception when you suggest something to other clubs, when you try to collaborate with them.
Yes, we do. And I just got to put in a plug. Last year at our Kwanzaa celebration, we had never had that many people there. We have to look for a different room now to celebrate because the draw was just so strong and so powerful. We had drummings and everything, and it was standing room only, and people felt so loved and so appreciative of sharing that part of our heritage. So our events, basically our major events, really highlight the purpose, which is, you know, celebrating major events in our culture.
You know, one of the reasons you draw so many people is you guys put on a great event. You know, every one of them is you know, it's a well, it's just you do a terrific job, and that's you know, people are interested, but that's one of the reasons they come too. They know they're going to have a good time, you know, not just be informed about things. So we certainly appreciate it here on the outside looking in. And we're running short of time, as we always do. And the last question I want to ask you both if you could just like keep it to a minute because we're going to run out of time. I don't want to cut anything off here. But just curious, if both of you, you know, we talked about Opal Lee, and you know, she stopped working and then she started working. But both of you too, you know, you're actively working in the community at a time in life when many people aren't actively working in the community. So really start with you. What keeps you going?
Somebody's got to do it. It might as well be me. You know what I mean? I don't like to point the finger at other people and say what they should be doing, and I'm not doing it myself. I want to be a trailblazer. I want to be a troubleshooter. I want to be out at the head of the pack or at the front of the pack, telling people, you know, let's do it together. Somebody has to do something about it or nothing will be done. So I'm one of the doers, and I just want to see things progress. I want to see things gel. And so I jump in there and do it. Hopefully people will jump in and join with us.
You, Annie, what makes you, you know, push on?
Well, I think what the core of what makes me push on is something my daddy said to me a long time ago, and it's just been instilled, you know, leave the world a better place. And so I am just open to how I can make this world and leave this world a better place than I found it. And so I'm always out there inspired by what to do next, how to do it, and bringing other people along with me.
It's an excellent note to end on, because I got to tell you from my point of view, both you, Willie, and you, Ann, you do make the world a better place. You make our community a better place. And we're really grateful for your contributions to us here in Laguna Woods, and hope you continue for many, many years. And once again, thank you so much, both of you, for being here. And thank you for the work that you do. It's greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you
for
for having
anybody
us.
who's interested, we're still open for membership. Everybody's welcome to join our club.
Okay, thank you all very much.
We will see you on
And,
Juneteenth. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, June 15th, Clubhouse
June
5,
15th.
right?
June
And
15th.
how do people get tickets? We didn't say that. How can you pitch an event and not say that?
We're gonna be doing some advertisement on Channel 6. We're gonna have doing some advertisement in the Globe, and we're gonna be doing Zelle and other things so you can get some tickets.
And the
Great.
flyers are going to be coming out as probably, we'd like to have the flyers out early next week.
You know, hopefully, you know, everybody who goes, I know, is going to have a good time. So again, thank you all very much. And for everybody watching, we will see you soon.
Thank you.
See you next
Thank you.
month.
Thank you
Okay,
very
thank
much,
you.
Alan.
Bye-bye.